In a small village in Africa, there lived a young girl named Amina. She was only 8 years old when she lost her parents. Her mother, a kind woman, had passed away quietly in her sleep, and her father, a farmer, died of a sudden illness. One morning, Amina woke up to find that her world had changed forever. Her mother was gone, and her father would never come home again. Amina sat beside their small hut, crying. Her small hands wiped the tears away, but they kept falling. She didn't understand why her parents had to leave. Every day, she would go to the places they used to go, her father's farm, her mother's garden, but it was empty now. Amina's heart felt heavy, and it was as though the world had forgotten her. After her parents died, Amina was taken in by her aunt, a woman with a hard face and even harder hands. Aunt Miriam did not speak much to Amina, only telling her what to do: wash the dishes, fetch water, and sweep the floor. But there was no warmth in her words, and no smile in her eyes. Amina missed the kindness of her mother's voice, the laughter of her father when he returned home after a long day of work. She missed how her parents had always promised her that nothing would separate them. But now, everything was different. Every night, Amina would cry herself to sleep. Her tears were her only friends. She couldn't tell Aunt Miriam about her sadness. The old woman would just look at her and say, "You're lucky to have a home. Don't complain." But Amina couldn't stop crying. She had no one to talk to, no one to tell her that everything would be okay. One day, a great storm came to the village. The sky turned dark, and the rain poured down as though the heavens themselves were crying. Amina, who was still in the fields gathering firewood, hurried back to the hut. She had seen the storm coming, but she didn't want to be caught out in the rain. As she arrived at the hut, she heard a loud crash from inside. Her heart skipped a beat. She ran to the door and pushed it open. Inside, the walls had caved in. The roof had fallen, and the floor was covered in mud. Aunt Miriam was nowhere to be seen. Amina screamed for her, but no answer came. Tears blurred her vision as she searched through the wreckage, calling her name over and over. But the only thing that answered her was the sound of the rain. She had lost everything. Again. The villagers came to help after the storm, but it was clear that there was nothing more they could do. Aunt Miriam was gone, and Amina was left alone. The elders talked quietly among themselves, unsure of what to do with the little girl. No one wanted to take her in, for they already had enough mouths to feed. Amina stood there, her heart aching, feeling the loneliness press in around her. She had no home, no family, and no one to hold her. She walked through the village, not knowing where to go, not knowing who to trust. She found a small place under a tree and curled up, tears slipping down her cheeks. The cold night air wrapped around her, but it could not touch the warmth she had lost. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Amina wandered the village, taking whatever scraps of food she could find, and sleeping under trees or in empty huts. She grew thinner and weaker with each passing day, but still, she never gave up. One day, a woman named Mama Zoe found Amina sitting by the side of the road. Mama Zoe was different from the other villagers. Her face was gentle, her eyes filled with kindness. She knelt down beside Amina and asked, "Why are you crying, little one?" Amina didn't answer right away. She wasn't sure if this woman would hurt her, like others had. But there was something about Mama Zoe's voice that made her feel safe. "I've lost everything," Amina said quietly. "I have no one. My parents are gone, and now even my aunt is gone." Mama Zoe's heart ached for the girl. She looked at Amina with soft eyes and said, "You are not alone. I have no children of my own, and I can give you the love you need." Amina didn't believe her at first. But Mama Zoe took her hand and led her to her small hut, a place that smelled of warmth and food. She gave Amina a bed to sleep on, and the first real meal Amina had in months. That night, for the first time in a long time, Amina slept without crying. Mama Zari became the mother Amina had always dreamed of. She taught Amina how to cook, how to care for the garden, and how to laugh again. She showed Amina that love could heal even the deepest wounds. Years went by, and Amina grew stronger. She became a young woman with a heart full of hope, even though her past was filled with pain. She would never forget the tears she cried as a little girl, but now, she knew that tears weren't just for sadness, they could also be for joy. One day, as Amina sat beside Mama Zari, she looked up at the sky. The sun was setting, and the colors painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. "Thank you," Amina whispered, her heart full, "for giving me love when I thought there was none left." Mama Zari smiled and held Amina close. "You are my daughter now, and I will always love you." Amina's tears, once filled with sorrow, were now tears of gratitude. She was no longer an orphan. She had a family. And no matter what the future held, she knew that she would always have the love that had saved her.